It is 7 o'clock in the PM, and it is time for Monday Night Nerd. Welcome, everybody, to Myers Corp Creations, my YouTube channel. I'm so glad you all could be here today. Thank you. As every week, thank you so much for joining in live. Thank you if you're watching this in the future, in the distant future, where I hope YouTube still exists or some other social media platform. For those who don't know, my name is Myers Corp Creations. I'm a cosplayer. I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I'm whatever you want to call me. You probably call me things behind my back, and that's perfectly fine. This show is just talking about nerd stuff, talking about geeky stuff, talking about comics, wrestling, video games, etc. And tonight we're going to talk about a very important topic, cosplay and mental health. As I said, I am a cosplayer, and cosplay and mental health is a really important topic, and we're going to dive into that deep later. But first, we're going to kick things off with a little bit of news. I saw a few things this weekend that I think you should know about. I saw a couple movies and I saw a couple trailers. Let's get into the first one. We're going to talk about some reviews. I went to the movies. I love going to the movies. I don't know about you guys, but that was something when I was growing up. I said I always want to make enough money to pay all my bills, put a little bit into savings, and go to the movies once a week. And to be fair, I kind of am getting close to going once a week. And now that we have streaming services and stuff at home, I can watch pretty much any movie I want to, which is amazing. But my wife and I and a friend, we went to the movies this weekend, and we saw a movie that my wife was interested in called Polite Society. This is not a very popular movie, or well-known movie, I should say. I had seen a trailer once. My wife had seen a trailer a couple times, and I will watch anything. I'm not a person who says I'll only go see certain movies. I don't care what the movie is. I will find something about it that I like. So when she told me let's go to the movies, I said, sure, let's go see this movie. This was a weird movie. For anyone that has seen the trailer, it looks like it's a sisters. They live in London and they're going to break up a wedding, and it's the sisterly martial arts kind of thing. Yes, and there's other things involved. There is a twist in the movie, which I will not spoil, because who knows who might see this. There wasn't many people in the theater, but just in case someone does see this, there's a twist in it that really shocked me. It shocked me in a way of, I cannot believe this is happening. There is a moment in the movie, again, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a moment in the movie where, if you've seen enough movies, if a character is relaxing, and this is really important in, say, the Friday or the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, if a character is laying back and they're relaxed and they slowly close their eyes, even for a second, you know that there's a possibility that they are now in a dream sequence. And that happened in this movie. The main character just closes their eyes for a split second and opens them back up. And as a movie fan, I saw that and went, we're in a dream sequence now. And something happens in the movie that could clearly be a dream sequence. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a trope that always happens. They're in a dream. They're going to wake up and, oh my God, everything's normal. It was not a dream. It was real. And I looked at my wife and I went, we're really going here? And she said, yep, this is where we're going. And she loved it. I did not. It was a weird movie that twist really threw me for a loop and took me out of it a bit. So I don't even know if I can recommend it. It's a weird watch. Wait for it to come out, obviously, on digital. It's kind of a funny movie at points. But it was a little weird. It was not what I expected. I think the trailer was a little bit of it wouldn't be a lie, because the twist is not something you'd put in the trailer. But yeah, it was weird. I would go see it when it comes out on streaming, because I don't want to spoil it, but it comes very close to being gross when it comes to the twist. So I'll leave it at that. It was interesting. I'm glad I went to the movies. Again, love going to the movies, but yeah, not what I wanted to go see. But yeah. Other review, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Once and Always, was hilarious. Okay. I've obviously, from the t-shirt, Power Rangers and because we're talking about mental health, um, I've been a Power Rangers fan since I was a kid. I grew up with them. They were like, it was little kid stuff, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and then Power Rangers was it until about 97 when I became a wrestling fan, and then wrestling was everything after that because it was basically real life Power Rangers. Um, uh, complete transparency, I watched this on my own because I had a couple friends who wanted to see it together, but they had mentioned they wanted to see it, but then it kind of got no one really mentioned anything after it came out, and I went, well, I'm just going to watch it because I haven't heard anything. So I watched it by myself, and I enjoyed it. And then when I spoke to my friends, they said, well, we were supposed to do a viewing party, and I said, well, I'm willing to watch it again. So this was actually my second time watching it. It is a lot more fun with fans in a room. It takes a lot of the campiness of the show. If you're a fan of the TV show, it is very much an homage to the TV show. It there again, kind of like that the Polite Society movie. There are some things in it that made me laugh out loud when we watched it, even by myself. The acting is fair to say the least. Um, there is a new character that is involved that she does her best. She could have done better. The CG in it with the Megazord and the big monster battle at the end was a little better than the original Power Rangers movie, and that was from 1996. So Netflix, you could have done a little bit better on the CG, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, due to certain people no longer being with us, they are in the movie, but they are not in the movie. You can kind of put two and two together and figure out what I mean by that. You're basically following the three or the four main Rangers from the original show, and it's only an hour. I enjoyed it. Again, it's more fun when you have people around who know the show and know the ins and outs. There are Easter eggs here and there that make it fun if you're a deep dive fan. It's an hour. Again, it's not going to hurt you. You're not paying money to see it. So if you're a fan, if you've ever watched the show growing up, if you've ever been a Power Rangers fan, even if you're not an MMPR fan and you're more into Turbo, Zeo, even the newer stuff, it's a fun watch. It's campy. It's kind of corny. It's exactly what the Power Rangers was back then. Like I have watched old Power Ranger episodes at this age now, and I completely memorized them with rose-colored glasses because looking back on them and actually seeing them as two different things, thinking about how great it was, and then seeing the acting, the overacting in the suits is pretty close to Shatner overacting, but it's still fun. I mean, I really don't understand. You know, I'm a nerd, obviously. And I never understood I liked it as a kid, and then when I got to a certain age, I just disregarded it and acted like I didn't like it. I never understood that. Like I've never been a person who if I liked it then, I don't mind it now. Like I'm perfectly fine saying I don't mind listening to Backstreet Boys now. I don't mind listening to Aqua. I don't mind watching kids movies that I loved growing up because I liked them as a kid and I'm kind of still a big kid. So I if you're a fan of Power Rangers and you can put yourself back in that mindset of being a kid, you will enjoy it. If you look at it as, an artistic masterpiece, you're going to be disappointed. So just enjoy it for the campiness that it was and is. I don't know. I've heard a rumor that they might do another one. I don't know if they're going to, though. I think I know Netflix put out a stat saying this was the 8th most watched program on the streaming service this weekend, or this weekend and last weekend, one of the 2 weekends. So that's good, but I don't know if it got the numbers that they wanted to maybe make this a recurring thing. So I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. I might have been a little generous with that because I'm just a fanboy for it, but it was fun. I would definitely watch it again if people came over and wanted to watch it. We got a trailer and we got a trailer announcement today. And if you're a video game fan, more importantly, if you're a PlayStation fan like I am, you got some stuff to watch coming up. And I'm not a TV person, but this caught my eye. There was a trailer yesterday for Twisted Metal the show, starring Anthony Mackie, Falcon from the Marvel Universe. And I am interested. I loved Twisted Metal growing up. I played the first one. I wasn't I At that generation, I had an N64, so I didn't play a lot of the PS1 games. So I remember playing number 1 and loving it, but I never touched 2 and 3. I had a PS2 though, and it came with Twisted Metal Black, and I played the crap out of Twisted Metal Black. And the whole darkness and storyline about these people who are wishing for all these things and somehow they all get screwed out of it. I loved that idea, and I think that is going to be an interesting concept for the show. And seeing Anthony Mackie being the lead is interesting, but at the end, if you're a fan, you see Sweet Tooth in his truck and it looks like the game. Like, I from what I've read, if you're a wrestling fan, Samoa Joe is Sweet Tooth. So that is interesting, and I'm really hyped to watch that show. I cannot remember what's coming out, but that trailer was really cool. And today they announced another PlayStation property getting a TV show, and that's Gran Turismo, which how the hell have they never done a Gran Turismo show before? It is a driving game that you can easily fill with all the celebrities. You've got driving and racing movies every year. How they've not slapped that name on it, I don't know. They did a Need for Speed a few years ago, but this looks cool. It looks like the game. I mean, the game is so realistic now when it comes to graphics. You could probably put both side by side. And you'd have to sit there and go, I don't know which one's which. So I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for Gran Turismo. So I think it's funny that, and I don't think they planned it, but it is coincidental that the Super Mario movie comes out and does bananas business, and then all the video game companies go, let's start making stuff and let's start throwing out trailers because we got a gamer audience out there that is dying to see good quality products. And I mean, I've seen half of Uncharted, and that's a PlayStation property, and I wasn't thrilled by it. I think the casting was completely wrong for that, but I mean, the idea of doing a TV show series even if it's just a 13 episode series, I think that's a great idea because it really allows you to flesh out the backstories of a lot of these characters and properties without having to crush it into a 2-hour time frame. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with having these big properties that have so much backstory and so much lore behind it, and trying to crunch it is just not going to happen. I mean, I got to watch Last of Us, but I played the games and I love them. But I'm trying to think of that campaign was hours upon hours. And yeah, I think they had 8 to 10 episodes, but trying to pack in that much lore and backstory and suspense and drama and interest and everything into only 10 hours, that's a tall order. So if they're going to keep doing it this way and making it, good 10 episodes, I think you got a better chance than doing it 2 hours. So good on PlayStation. I can't wait to see Twisted Metal. I can't wait to see Gran Turismo, and I can't wait to see what else is coming up. Because I mean, you could do Jack and Daxter, you could do Ratchet and Clank, you can do Crash Bandicoot, you could do so many PlayStation properties. I mean, it's endless, the ideas. So good on you, PlayStation. Let's jump into the sponsors quickly, and then we're going to jump into the main event. Sponsors, as always, if you're new to the show, I have one sponsor. As currently, unless someone wants to throw me some money, I would greatly appreciate that. If you're a business out there and would love to sponsor the podcast, send me an email at or DM me on any of my social medias. I would love to, boost your products. But as of right now, I have one sponsor, and that is my wife. My wife is my backbone. My wife is the reason I'm here. I would not be doing this without her support. Even, she has always been the person who says, just give it a shot. If you like it, great. If you don't, you can at least say you tried. And because of her, I'm 11 episodes into this. And again, I would not be the person I am today without her. I love her to the ends of the earth. So, hun, I love you. Thank you for always being my rock, and thank you for always being a part of my life. Love you. Sponsorship done. I'm going to take a quick drink of the water, which I don't know why I'm drinking out of like a mason jar, but what the hell? I feel kind of redneck drinking it this way, but whatever. All right. Cosplay and mental health. Let's deep dive into this. So, as you can probably guess by the title, I do cosplay and I do deal with mental health. It has been something that has been going on in my life for a very, very long time. It's not always concurrent. It's not always constant. It's usually ebbs and flows from time to time. One of the main reasons I wanted to do this episode, because I'm a giant Kevin Smith fan, and Kevin Smith posted a video on People's YouTube page, People Magazine YouTube page, talking about some mental health struggles that he has dealt with over the years and is currently dealing with. And he is wanting to be open and honest about it because he believes that, being open and honest can help others. And I've always agreed with that. So it was very eye-opening as a Kevin Smith fan to hear his struggles with it and what he's gone through in his life. And, I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey and incidents that have happened growing up that have really influenced the person you see today, positively and negatively, because I do believe that any struggle you're going through, you have two different things will happen. A positive outcome and a negative outcome are together. I believe that when, you have a mental health crisis, that is a way to help you. And it's also a way to, maybe take something that you were not enjoying with your life and sort of shining a light on it, saying you need to deal with this now before it becomes worse. But let's backtrack into my story. So, like I said, I've been dealing with it off and on since I was a kid. There have been, there was things back when I was a little kid that I never really realized was mental health, because I was growing up in the 90s and mental health was not even close what it is today. But there was a definite incident, which I call the incident, when I was in grade 6, that I definitely believe influenced the person I became. I'm going to try and do a short version of this because I could definitely get long-winded about it with all the details, but there's no point. I was going into grade 6. When I grew up, the first school I was at went from kindergarten to 5. And then I had to go with the people from that school to another school, which did kindergarten 6, 7, and 8. So we just did 6, 7, and 8, the second school. When I was growing up, when I was young, I was a part of, we'll call them the popular kids. It wasn't the popular kids like you'd see in high school. It's just, we all got along and we liked popular things. We were going into this new school, and I had a couple friends, we're going to leave them nameless, and we were sharing a locker. And one day I took a day off, and I don't remember what it was, but I was away. And that night I got a phone call from one of them, and they said, I found the letters. And I said, what? They said, I found the letters in your locker. I said, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. What letters? And he said, I found these letters, and the letters were typed out, and basically they were all the same, just names were changed. And basically what the letters said were, that I was going to R word the girl and try and kill them. And it was supposedly every single girl that was in the class. And I went, okay, like, come on, really? He said, seriously, I found them. I said, okay, where are these notes or these letters? And he said, I have them at my house. I said, okay, let's go to school tomorrow. Leave them at your house. I'll swing by your house. We'll figure out what the hell this is. Some stupid joke, whatever. Go to bed. Next day, I wake up, go to school. He has brought all of the letters to school and given them out to everybody. So you can imagine my frustration, anxiety, panic, everything. Because now there is no context. There is like it's basically he found them and he's now showing everybody. I don't think I need to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. I didn't do it. Just going to say it anyways. Because of that, I had within 24 hours, I had no friends. I had absolutely, I went from being the friend of everybody to the friend of nobody. And after school, I would have people try to find me to beat me up because of it. I would have to literally run home. Thankfully, I was only a few blocks away, but I still had to sprint home on multiple nights so I did not get beat up. There were multiple nights where I would want to leave the house and go just for walks and stuff. And because my house was sort of surrounded by all my ex-friends, they would be out playing. And as soon as they saw me, they would chase me down. And I thought that was kind of the end of my life because something like that kind of spreads like wildfire. And to say that the teachers and principals did nothing about the situation would be an understatement. They wiped their hands completely of the situation. My mom came in and wanted to do something about it. They wanted nothing to do with it. They said they can't do anything. So, not to take a dark turn, but that was a moment in my life where I almost said goodbye. Because at that age, when you're the popular kid and you get told you're no longer the popular kid, you're become a loner, and you don't know if anybody's ever going to be friends with you again after this, puts you in a dark place. And I came close, but I had a moment where I said, if this happens and I do this, what positive comes out of this? They win. My mom, who was at work at the time, comes home to find this. She doesn't deserve that. My family will find out about it. They don't deserve that. If I stay and I don't do that, I win and I get to shove the middle finger in their face every time I see them. And that's kind of how I looked at the situation. So thankfully, knock on wood, I never did. But it definitely gave me anxiety issues, abandonment issues that I've dealt with off and on throughout the years. Incidents where people would leave and my mom or people would, I wouldn't say people would leave, but people would have moments where they would do something that I wouldn't think was the right idea or the right thing in my head. And I wouldn't be able to process it because my mind would start going crazy in my head and going, is there an underlying reason why this would happen? And da 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 da. And it was all me. Like it wasn't. I would never be able to talk to them about it because it was so hard to just say, this is not you, it's all me, it's all in my head. Um, and that was one of the first times where I kind of went, okay, I need to fix this. And that's when I started taking meds for it and trying to deal with it. And I really started dealing with it through my art. I was very much an artist growing up. Sorry to go through. It's my guy. Oh, thank you in the chat for. I know I had a lot of great friendships in high school, and it made high school was way better than middle school. 100%. It was so much better than dealing with that crap in middle school. But sorry, back to where I was going. So I was dealing with my art. That was my release. Anytime anything happened negative in my life, anything happened positive in my life, I would go and I would draw. And everyone kind of knew me in middle school and high school as the artist. And it was great because I had an outlet for my frustration, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. Plus it made people smile because people liked my art. And this is where I've never told anybody this. There's only one person, two people in my life that know this. So this is kind of, if you're friends with me and you've known me since high school, um, this might be a little bit of a shock. Maybe not, probably not actually. um, Almost all the drawings I did growing up were copies. Almost any drawing I did growing up, I just copied some other piece of art that I liked. I really never had my own art. And it wasn't till I met my wife that she kind of called me out on it. Now, again, whether anyone knew that or not growing up, I don't know. I was never told it. But it wasn't until I met my wife that she said, this art's great, but, I know this isn't you. This is someone else's drawing that you've just made a copy of. And it's a good copy, but it's a copy. Where's your drawing, your own art? And I didn't have that. I would always just copy. And that was something that really hit home to me and really hurt because that was my thing, was art. I really, that was my, I don't know what you want to call it, my personality. Everyone knew me as it. And after that, she called me out on it, and it was fair to say. I would never blame her for it. It was the right thing to do. I didn't really have an outlet at that point because then I didn't want to draw, because anything I drew that wasn't a copy was not even close to what my best work was. And I'd say best work as in the best copy I could do. And so I was kind of walking around with a sort of a crisis of conscience of like, who am I? I was the drawing kid and I'm not the drawing kid anymore. And that's where cosplay came in, because I said to myself, well, I need an outlet, and I like doing this thing, this building thing, and there isn't any way I can copy anybody because I'm building these things from scratch. Maybe this is how I get my art out. And honestly, it has been so nice to have that as an outlet, because if I didn't have cosplay, I don't know what I would do. I play the drums, but even that, it's kind of copying, because I've usually just got headphones on and I'm listening to a song. If you took the headphones out and said play something, it wouldn't be as good as me playing along with a song. But that cosplay bug got into me, and man, did that help. And it's interesting that it took me a while, once I got into the cosplay, to pick the costumes that I really wanted to do, and to realize how much they all have in common, and how much my mental health and anxiety and etc. play into that. Is just it. My jaw dropped when I thought of it. My two favorite costumes are Luigi and Green Lantern. These are two characters who their main focus is facing their fears. And when it finally hit me that, hey, you're the guy that you have the biggest costume and you've won the most awards with, and the character that you love more than anything are they're both just wanting to conquer their fears. I cannot believe it that hit me with such force that, you know, it still stuns me to think about. And then realizing that when I'm wearing something that is a villain costume, like I've done Two-Face in the past. I've done the Joker one time, which I hate that costume. Go on my Instagram if you want to see my attempt at Arkham Joker. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But with a lot of villains, I don't really feel comfortable in them. Like it's such a weird feeling because I can definitely feel my anxiety kick in a little harder when I try and play a villain. So if it looking back at my cosplay, I love Judge Dredd, police officer, Lantern, police officer, the Crow, someone who was killed unintentionally. Like all of these have so many similarities, and so much of them have to do with being a good person, being a hero, conquering your fears, standing up for what's right. And it's just crazy when I really sit down and think about how these all are interconnected, especially with something like Green Lantern, because, if you go back to the Jeff Johns run, when they rebooted him and you've got the emotional spectrum for all the different colors. Like when I grew up, my favorite color was orange. I loved orange. And everyone know, if you know the Lantern lore, the Orange Lantern is about greed. And greed is, there's only one Orange Lantern because it's greed. And I enjoyed that character so much, but I realized after sitting down and thinking about it, I'm like, that's not really me. Like I love the color, but I'm not a greedy person. I like having people around. I feel that is somewhat of a coping mechanism of, to push my abandonment issue, to push away from my abandonment issues, of keeping people close to me, trying to have as many friends as possible in case something happens and my head goes crazy. I have someone to go to. I have friends to go to. So I started to move towards green because green again is will, and having the willpower to beat those demons and beat those mental health, demons. And yeah, it's crazy. And then, growing up as a Power Ranger fan and seeing, Jason David Frank be such an adamant and just going on and on about mental health and having what happened to him, that was a blow. Like there's if you're on my social media, you know that I usually put out a tribute to anybody that I grew up watching or was a fan of, if it's a wrestler or if it's a, comic book guy or TV. Jason David Frank hurt, and it hurt a lot. That was one that really made me say, like, like this is someone who was prolific in the mental health field when it comes to just getting better and staying positive. And it took its toll on him, and it sort of made me take a couple days to go, like, if he can't do it, what am I, like, how can I do it? And it's, I've gotten better because of it. I've gotten better to deal with it, but that definitely took a blow to me. And I know it was a big blow to a lot of fans out there, that he was, that one hurt. But going back to the cosplay side, but even when it comes to the cosplay side, when it comes to the art side of it, there was still, even once I started cosplaying, there was still that imposter syndrome that came from being told, this isn't your art, this is someone else's, and you're just copying it. And I really felt like that growing up, or shouldn't say growing up, when I was first cosplaying. I tried to do so many costumes that no one wanted to do. because it was almost like a prove I was almost trying to prove everybody wrong, and everybody being nobody, trying to prove that I'm not copying. I tried to do ones that weren't popular. I tried to do all these weird characters like Terrence and Phillip, which were stupid, simple costumes, but I knew no one else was going to be there and I wouldn't be compared to anybody. And I think it was probably the first 6 years of doing cosplay. I always had that little bit of anxiety no matter what costume I was wearing because I was worried, am I going to find someone who was in that same costume and am I going to be compared to them? Because I'm just starting out and this person I'm standing next to or is walking past might have 10 years experience and I'm going to be judged again and people are going to look and say I'm just copying. And there was always that worry, especially with something like Judge Dredd. Like if you've seen my social media lately, I worked real hard on Judge Dredd, and it was the comic version of Judge Dredd. And I loved wearing that costume until I got to the convention and no one cared. And more importantly, no one cared because the movie had just come out and there was a bunch of people who were wearing the movie costumes, which is, if you know Judge Dredd, the comic has the big shoulders, the big helmet. It's very exaggerated, but the movie is more almost like a tactical look, which actually I do like the movie look, but I kind of like the exaggeration a little more. So I would go in and I would see this, I would walk in as this costume and I just would be terrified that A, no one cared, and B, now I'm getting compared again because there were so many of the other costumes and they were getting all the attention. And the one thing that made me feel good about that costume was my face was covered, which kind of off the title of this podcast, I think, and I don't speak for any other cosplayer out there, but I do believe that a little bit of the cosplay is us putting on a mask, figuratively or literally, where if you're not comfortable in your own skin, you can stand behind that character as sort of a protective wall. And I love wearing I love wearing a mask, which makes me laugh when I say it out loud because I am claustrophobic. And I remember in high school we had to do we had to make paper mache masks, and we were doing the straws up the nose and doing the face cast of each other, and I couldn't do it. I was panicking so much because I was claustrophobic, and now I do costumes where, like, I mean, you can't see it, but Ghost Rider up there, and soon to be my new costume, are full skull masks that take up my whole head, and I'm perfectly comfortable in them, and I have no anxiety walking around in them. But I do believe that that does help, wearing the lantern mask or wearing, a Spider-Man costume. And I think Stan Lee said it best that anybody can be Spider-Man. You can be black, white, every color in the rainbow. Age-wise, you can be a little kid, you can be, 50, 60, 70. Anybody can be Spider-Man. And being behind that mask helps, especially for me. Again, I assume there's others out there that feel the same way. And just, I've definitely seen in the competitions where there's people out on stage who I know if I took them out of costume, and I'm one of them, I'm really good on stage, but if you take that costume off me, I am a different person. And I would be a little more worried. Not terrible, but I know people who would be, nope, not doing it without a mask on or without a costume. So I definitely think it has definitely helped with my mental health. And it helped the most when, I won an award. My first award as Luigi. And there's a moment in if you go on if after this you hop over to my rest of my videos on my YouTube page, um the night, and we'll probably do an episode of this and I'll deep dive into it, but I'll kind of give you the Cole's notes. Went up, did my Luigi performance, and it went really well. And the hosts of the Masquerade at Fan Expo 2019 they were improvising while they were doing judging, and the crowd was getting a little restless, and they brought me up on stage, and we had a little bit of a banter, and it was really fun. And then some stuff happened, and then they had to improv again, and the crowd at this point was getting really antsy. And there's a moment in the video that I found off someone's YouTube channel of the whole masquerade, and one person in the crowd yells, "We want Luigi," and I was in Luigi. And that is a moment that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Like, I was close to tears when I heard that, because not only did I win an award for my costume, the audience wanted me back on stage. And to have both of those things happen in one night, to be accepted by my peers as a cosplayer and being accepted by an audience, I'm almost thinking of crying now, because it just meant so much for someone who has had so many mental health things here and there, to go, this is my art. The drawing thing was the nucleus of it, but this is it. This is what I need to do, because my peers say I'm good at it, expert judges say I'm good at it, and an audience says I'm good at it. And that is, I would love to find the person who said that in the video, because I would want to hug them so hard, because it's moments like that that take an individual like myself and push them to the next level. And that's anytime I'm talking to a cosplayer, or anytime I have the opportunity to praise someone for what they've done, I do it, because I know how much that moment meant to me mentally. I just want to be a part of someone else's and tell them that they're doing a great job, and that just keep going and keep pushing, because if you are dealing with a mental health problem, you will get through it, and you will, the more is to come. Like, don't think that this is it. And I think, especially now with today's world, I'm so glad that we have things out there to help people, like BetterHelp, and different therapists you can go talk to, and people in general are more open to it. Even people in my own life, when I was going through my mental health struggles back in the day, it was really hard to talk to them about it, even people really close to me. But throughout the years, it's gotten better, and people are able to accept it more and understand the struggles I was going through then, and the struggles that I was going through more recently. So I think we're doing good with mental health. I think we're going to just get better, because I think things like this, it's becoming more of something people are more accepting to talk about. And I think it can only get better. And if you're struggling, please talk to somebody. It is okay to talk to somebody. You are not alone. Everybody goes through this. There are probably people around you who are going through it as well and just don't talk about it. I heard a great bit of advice that I believe my wife said to me the one time, and that was, nobody cares about you in the fact that they have their own problems. So if you're worried that, someone's going to see it, or someone's going to, judge you on it, dude, they're dealing with their own stuff, and they might actually be dealing with the same things you are. So, I'm always an open book. I'm always open and honest with anybody that wants to talk about this stuff, because that's the way we get better, is to talk about it. So if you're out there struggling, you're not alone. DM me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. I'm more than happy to talk. It's you're not alone, guys. It's a struggle that a lot of people go through, and we're all going to get through it. Exactly. So, I feel like I laid down on a couch and had a therapy session there for a minute. But yeah, cosplay has definitely helped, and it will continue to help, because it will allow me to get my artistic freedoms and artistic visions out, and it will you know it's definitely something that'll help my mental health. And I think being creative helps a lot of people because they can come up with voices and ideas for different things that you may not be able to articulate any other way. Like, actually, funny story before we go into the questions. Um, that was something I actually dealt with an incident that happened in my life that we're not going to get into because it's too long, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. But there was an incident that happened. I was in high school, so let's say grade 9, 10, and the best way I felt of dealing with it was the person that was causing the problem. I would draw little cartoons of them, you know, being an idiot and doing stupid things. And that was my way of dealing with it. It was my way of getting out the frustration and getting out the anger. And, I think art is a great way of doing that, whether it's, again, cosplay, painting, drawing, comics, whatever it is. It's a good release. And, yeah, I think that's about it. Again, this is a very important topic, so I'll probably do another episode sooner or later on this. We are at the 46-minute mark. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for joining me for this therapy session. It was greatly appreciated. It is a very important topic, and I hope you guys are having a good mental health day. We're going to do 3 questions, and then you guys can get on your way and enjoy the rest of your Monday night. 3 questions that came in this week. What summer movie are you excited for? We are getting into blockbuster season. We are getting into the season of big Hollywood movies, and I gotta admit, I've not seen any of them yet, but I'm excited for Indiana Jones. I have never seen a full Indiana Jones movie, but seeing that new trailer has got me hyped. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what this movie is going to entail, seeing the de-aging they've done on Harrison Ford. And from what I've read, it's not actually current footage they de-aged. It's old footage of Harrison Ford that they've morphed into these scenes. So that is interesting. I'm really interested to see how they do that. But yeah, Indiana Jones, I mean, Flash and all the Marvel and DC stuff, I will probably be their opening night for every single one of them. So I'm excited for those, but those are obvious in my mind. But yeah, Indiana Jones, I'm interested. I'm really interested. Number 2, how do I cope with my anxiety? Talking about mental health. Cosplay for sure. That's definitely an outlet. One of the other ones is I love playing drums. When I went through that, the incident and all of that, that's when I really started to get into drums. I would, again, just put on headphones and just start boom, 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 boom. I didn't have drums at the time, so I think Dave Grohl did this when he was younger too to learn. I would set up pillows around me, and each pillow would be a drum. So I would envision a drum kit in my head and go. Snare would be right here in front. 2 tom pillows, a floor tom, a cymbal pillow, a cymbal pillow, and I would just play. My mom, she is a former fitness trainer, so she had weights and stuff in the basement, but her big thing was she would be on a treadmill or an elliptical, and she had drumsticks, and she would on the elliptical bar just to pass the time while she's working out. So I would steal her drumsticks, run upstairs, and smack the hell out of all my pillows playing along the songs, which then grew into getting a full drum kit. And now, because I like my neighbors and I don't want to annoy them, I have an electric kit that I play on. And yeah, that's my cardio. That's my workout. Dealing with anxiety and all the things that come along with it. Working out is a great way to help. My mom is a former fitness trainer. I've seen and had weights around me the whole time. There are 2 dumbbells underneath my desk here. I have no interest in lifting them. I do, if you're a wrestling fan, I am a DDP yoga fan. I do it every now and then, but drumming is the one that I enjoy the most. I love just banging the crap out of those, and it's a great workout, especially because I'm a metal fan. So I can go, play Battery and Master of Puppets and Megadeth and stuff, and definitely pull up a sweat. Last question. Any movie review update? Okay, I was waiting for this. I knew it would come up sooner or later. All right. So if you don't know, I have a poster in front of me that's 100 movies you must see before you die. I was hoping to get through these a little quicker than I am. Been busy lately and not really having a ton of time to watch. I will tell you right now, I've at least watched 2. I've watched A Clockwork Orange and I've watched Taxi Driver. I have shot a quick review of A Clockwork Orange and I've not had a chance to edit it yet. So this is not going to go as fast as I had hoped. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to watch probably the first 10, do reviews, and that's when I will start putting them out at a possibly weekly pace. So I don't get to a point where I'm missing weeks and weeks and weeks because life happens. I mean, we're getting close to summer and con season's up and everything else is happening. So that is my plan. I'm going to try and watch 10. There's a few that I have seen already. Like I know one coming up is Jurassic Park. So I probably will just do a quick watch of that because I've seen it a billion times. So that is what's happening with that. However, I did put something out a while ago on TikTok where I said I have been, and I know you guys can't see, but right here, I have all my ticket stubs from all the concerts and shows and stuff like that I've been to. And I said, would anyone be interested in seeing short, maybe 1-minute videos about memories of the concert and event and etc.? And I got some positive feedback from that. So what I've been doing, and I did a bunch of them on Saturday, is just doing a quick review of what I remember from these shows, where they were, how cool was the show? Was there any crazy things that happened? So I'm going to do those, and I'm going to start putting those out probably every couple days. I'm going to put them on YouTube Shorts, I'm going to put them on TikTok, and I'm going to put them on Instagram Reels. So it will give you something to, if you're such a big fan of Myers Corp Creations, it'll give you one more piece of content to download and enjoy. So that is the plan coming up. I love looking at this thing. I know you can't see it from here because if I move the camera, it's going to fall. I have my Blockbuster card there still. Like I still have my Blockbuster card. And above it, if you're local to Hamilton, I have my Steel City video card from the local video store that was around the corner. And it makes me smile because those were such good days. I know we've talked about it in previous episodes, but I've sat there and I've thought of how long it would take me to go through a Blockbuster. And I know this is completely going off topic, but I love this topic. I've thought of how many times I've gone to a Blockbuster in my life and how long it would take me to find a movie, any movie. It would probably take me 15 minutes at most. At most. Now I could spend hours scrolling through Netflix, Prime, everything else, and still not find something I want to watch. And I definitely think it has to do with when you are given everything, you almost have nothing. You just want to watch everything, but then you don't. It's such a weird thing to think about. It's like video games. Like I have the PlayStation Plus second tier where I get all the free games. And I've probably played less games lately than I have in my whole life. But I have so many I want to play, but I just don't. It's so weird. It's such a weird conundrum. Sorry, went down a rabbit hole. We're at the 54-minute mark. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Next week, it is a very important show because next week it'll be May 8th. And you know what that means? That means it's the day before my birthday. It is the day before my birthday. My birthday's May 9th. I'm so happy. I am going to be 35. I can't believe it. So next week, we're just going to yak. I'm not going to have a topic. It's going to be called birthday. And we might talk about some of my birthdays and the fun stuff I've done on my birthday. We could talk about some of the cool gifts I've gotten. If I've have any for this birthday, maybe I'll talk about those if they're really cool. My wife's getting me something. I can't wait to see what it is. But yeah, next week will be my birthday episode. I hope you all can join. We're going to talk. We're not going to care. There's going to be no format. We're just going to have fun. So tune in next week for that. Again, thank you all for joining. Greatly appreciate it. Click the like button, click share, send a comment, tell YouTube that this is really good content and you want to see more of it, because that's what YouTube does. They send you content you want. Everyone, have a great night. Have a great mental health week. And I will see you next Monday. Have a good night, guys.